Okay, so I started with emptying my mind, getting rid of the expectations and ideas and trying to do techniques and all that stuff. And I just felt into the energy of the statements that I chose and really just really tried to empty my mind. And then from my heart, I choose colors. I just decide whatever feels good. And I have nothing really planned. So it's actually doesn't really matter what I pick. So I just really go with whatever my first instinct is. And so I knew I wanted red and I knew I wanted bright yellow. And so I grabbed those first. And then I also was like, maybe I would add like a darker yellow and an orange in there, maybe not, but I set them aside. So then I started on the blank white canvas. And at this point in my paintings, I just really am playing and doing whatever and have no idea what that painting is going to show me or what it's going to be. I'm just in the energy, listening to music and expressing. So I start with the red paint, and this time, for whatever reason, I laid my canvas down flat and I put a couple of like dots of the paint on and maybe a line here and there, I can't remember. And then I used one of those squeegee scraper paint spacular things and spread it out and then kind of made other marks with that, just wiping the rest of it off of the edge of it. And then I got a super wet, pretty large brush and just dipped it in a little bit of the paint and started to put that on the canvas, and it dragged through some of the other barely dry red paint as well and just kind of made some marks here that were very unplanned. And then I just felt like I was done and I stopped. And at this point, like, it was pretty interesting. As I turned it upside down and around, I kind of wanted to keep it this way, but I knew I wasn't done. I let it completely dry. And then I went in with that bright yellow. And I think that might have even been the next day, maybe later that night. And I did a little bit of yellow around it. And I forgot to take a picture between the orange, but then once that yellow was dry, I added the bright orange on, and I didn't really like that bright orange. It was kind of overwhelming. I took a picture of it here, and you can see it was applied a little bit different. There's some of it's lighter orange, so you can see that I had added water and used the brush with that. I kind of skipped the brush around a little bit, and then I used paper towels, wet and dry. And if they're wet, it like kind of makes a watercolory smear, smudge blend, and if they're dry, it sort of removes it from it. So I did use paper towel on that orange to kind of lift some of the paint up and make it a little less intense. And I still wasn't really loving it here, but I let it dry. So here you can see I've put on several layers and forgot to take photos, but the first layer was that medium yellow tone. I used that and kind of filled in all of the white places in the canvas, and it was really nice because it was semi-transparent. I used water with it as well, but mostly I was able to put it right on full power, and you could still see the underlying layer even if I went over the edge. So I let that completely dry, and then I took that same yellow and just added a little bit of white to it to make a little bit different shade and feeling, so you can see where like the brighter yellow marks are. And then the final part of this was doing the white glaze, and I used quite a bit of water on a brush with white, and then I souped that around in the circle, and you can see where it was like a little bit heavier of a glaze there on the other side. And then I used that same brush and just kind of pulled out what was left to the edges to give that a little bit of a haze around the whole outer edge. Then I was looking at it and I turned it around a bunch of times. I couldn't really decide what it was going to be. And when I had it turned this side up, I could see that lady on the left, and it looks like she has her head back and she's maybe wearing a bikini, and then like it's going into nothingness, but I immediately thought mermaid because I love mermaids and was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I saw down in the bottom left that face. Over on the right bottom corner, I saw that skull, and like there's like a weird face behind it. And then I went ahead and took chalk and outlined all of the things that I saw. So you can see now there's like taking shape, the eye and the mermaid and the face in the left corner. And then you can see more of that lady with the flowers on her head. And then I stopped taking pictures because I got really engrossed. And with this, I was mostly just using like regular filbert and square small brushes. I can't remember what size. They're probably like 3s or 4s. And just applying paint and using paper towels to kind of like soften and blend. Again, sometimes wet and sometimes dry, but mostly this was just paint brushing. This was like, and I actually started this. I wish I had taken a picture of this because the first layer after the one you just saw was all in that red purple color, the red violet. So the same color as the mermaid's hair. I actually outlined the whole thing in that. So where you saw the chalk lines, adding darkness like around the mermaid to make her stand out more. And when I say darkness, it was just that red. And then I can't remember what I moved to next, but the rest of it was all just layered colors. Mostly I just kept going because they were drying so fast, but you know, sometimes I let it dry. You can see like at the end here where I went up on the right side corner where that color is, I wanted to like cohesively pull it together because there was a lot of red violet and it just felt unbalanced up there. So I take that paper towel, ball it up into like a crunchy ball, dip it into the paint, and then either directly on the canvas, or if I think there's too much paint or I'm not sure, I'll like dab it on my palette first and then go to the canvas. But you can see how it makes just like that texture. But yeah, I think that was it. Thanks for asking.